Hey guys, Mike here. So today, I'm here to talk to you about fighting with my family. In this review, I'll be going over a brief summary of the plot, my quick thoughts about the film, and whether or not you guys should go and see it. So I'm going to try and keep this review spoiler-free. However, if you want to know anything about the film, and you want to go completely blind, then let's just come back to this video once you've seen the film. So with that, let's get started, shall we?
What?
It's Dwayne Johnson. How are you?
Prove it.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Yeah, and I'm Vin Diesel, mate.
I'm sorry.
So Fighting With My Family stars Florence Pugh as Soraya Knight. You may remember her from Lady Macbeth and The Commuter. In Fighting With My Family, Soraya comes from a family who are passionate about wrestling, so much so that her mother named her after her wrestling stage name. So after the WWE tryouts come to England, her and her brother try out for them. Her brother doesn't get in, but she does get in. After that, she goes to America to begin a training regimen to try and get onto the main roster of the WWE. And so we have Fighting With My Family. So, growing up, I was never into wrestling. I just had no interest in it, but I could fully see why people loved it so much. And you don't have to be into wrestling to appreciate this movie, because Lord knows I'm not into wrestling, and I absolutely love this movie. However, if you were going in thinking that The Rock has a starring role in this movie, because, you know, he's all over the posters, he's in the trailer, you know, he's part of the big marketing campaign for this movie, you'll be a little bit disappointed because he only really appears like 3 times in the movie. You know, I had quite high hopes for this movie, and I'd say for the most part, my expectations for it were met. It was funny, there was a lot of camaraderie in this movie, there's a strong sense of family, and it's just a nice, heartwarming story. I mean, at the forefront, this movie is about family, and I mean, it doesn't matter if you're into wrestling or not. I mean, that's something that we can all really relate to. Now, going into this, I didn't actually know that this was based on a true story, because I had no idea who Paige the wrestler was, or pretty much about anything about wrestling, really. Because you know that if you've watched the trailer, that there's a scene where The Rock calls up Soraya's family, and he says that he's The Rock and they don't believe him. So the father says, prove it, and he says, you know, his famous line, and the father says, yeah, and I'm Vin Diesel. Now, obviously, funny line if you know the context of it, but the issue with this is that the feud between The Rock and Vin Diesel didn't really start until the production of Fast and Furious 8. And this movie's kind of set, I think, in 2014. I'm not really sure. It might be before, it might be after. But it's definitely before this feud definitely took place. So, unless that there was a feud between Vin Diesel and The Rock before Fast 8, then, you know, this joke doesn't really have any place. I don't know, it's not a massive issue. It's just something that I thought that was worth noting. I mean, regardless, it's still a funny joke. But, you know, going on to the actual performances in this movie, Florence Pugh was just really good in this movie. She was entertaining, her comedic timing was on point, and you could just really relate to the struggles that her character was going through in this movie. Because despite her love of wrestling, you know, it does come down to the fact of that her family was so passionate about it, is what makes her so passionate about it. And as she's going through, she starts to struggle with this, thinking, why am I really here? Why am I doing this? And she just has to think that she's doing it for her family, which, at the same time, is a bit upsetting for her because she doesn't want to let down her family, but she also wants to be honest with them. So it was just interesting to see her go through that parallel of just the internal struggle that she was going through. I mean, pretty much, whenever you get Nick Frost on screen, you know, it's always guaranteed for a laugh or two. And, you know, getting him on screen with Lena Headey was just pure gold. The two of them were really convincing in their role, and they just actually made you believe that they were a real-life couple. And at no point was I undersold that any of these people had a great passion for wrestling. Another good thing about this movie is that they give layers to character that the film could be forgiven for making them or keeping them one-dimensional. I mean, there are these scenes where Paige is talking to these other characters and you're thinking they're very one-note or have no personality. And they just have these little points where they just show, you know, why they're there and, you know, that they're actually people, which I thought was actually really good for a movie like this. But, you know, after watching the movie, I did watch Paige's debut fight at the WWE, and, you know, it is mostly accurate, but it is quite Hollywoodized. You know, it wasn't as clean-cut as they made it out to be. It wasn't probably as dramatic, but, you know, for the most part, they did capture the heart and soul of the scene, so, you know, I thought that was pretty good. Overall, guys, I really like this movie, and I don't think you have to be into wrestling, like I've said, to really appreciate this movie. All of the actors were really good. There was a strong sense of family, community, and camaraderie that I think we can all just relate to. And while this movie isn't insanely funny, there are definitely enough laughs to, you know, say that this film isn't completely unfunny. But now, as for whether or not you guys should go and see it, I think you can take from context that I'm recommending you should go see this movie, because this movie, I believe, has something everyone could enjoy. And whether or not you go to the cinema to see it is up to you, but I would definitely recommend that you should go see this movie. Okay guys, that's my review for Fighting With My Family. If you've seen it, what did you think about it? And what's your favourite wrestling movie? Whatever it is, drop it in the comments below. But until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!